Over the past 2 decades, there's been a renaissance in artisan and farmstead cheesemaking here in the United States. The main cheese-producing places are Wisconsin, California and Vermont. But scattered around the country are dozens of small dairies as well. I've come here to look at a few of the benchmarks. Welcome to the highlands of Virginia. Established in 1998, Meadow Creek Dairy lies in the Blue Ridge Mountains of southwest Virginia. The dairy produces a range of handmade farmstead cheese using the rich milk of the farm's very contented herd of 58 Jersey Cross cows. So can you tell me about your system of grazing here? It's very seasonal.
Yeah, we can start grazing in early April usually. And then we can stretch the rotations out to make it fit. We can still be grazing in the end of December.
And what sort of cows are they?
This cow's a Jersey, a straight Jersey.
Right.
We do have Frisian mixes, and we have several French breeds that we've used now too. Tarentaise, and Montbéliard, and Abondance.
Milk quality and production naturally fluctuates with the seasons, and every batch of cheese is different. I've come here to look at the award-winning Grayson, a sensational square, soft-ripened cheese made for just a few months a year from raw milk.
Okay, I put my hand in there, one, to feel the spring in the curd.
Yeah.
And then we've also found with our milk, with that little bit of fat, that the less fat that sticks to your hand, the closer it is to ready. And then I can see my imprint has stayed, so I know it's close. And then I'll just do a clean break, which everybody does.
Yeah.
And it's still a little soft.
Yeah,
but
that's lovely.
We're probably gonna, we cut slow, so we usually start a little early.
Can I try that?
Yes.
So you just go like that?
Yep. And you push down a little and feel the resistance. And then when you pull your hand up, you can see there probably won't be much. The fat's sticking less and less. You saw the first time I picked my hand up.
So
I don't know why that is.
Well, that's cut.
Yeah, that's cut. Whoops. Actually, believe it or not, I copied this from somebody I watched in Italy, and I really think the only thing that matters is you do a pattern the same way. So, you know, I don't think this is that special.
Helen and her daughter Kat share a passion for cheesemaking, and together they make a formidable family duo.
Okay, so when I take a handful of curd,
Yeah.
and I squeeze it, it's kind of like bread. It's just starting to give me resistance and hold my print.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just starting to cling together.
Okay, it's all about the prints, this one, isn't it?
It's because I can't keep my hands on anything.
Once the curds for Grayson are ready to go into the draining basket, it's all hands on deck. So this stage is really important. It's called the fill and flip stage, isn't it?
Yes, this is crucial because we want to drain this curd as fast as we can to keep the pH high. And we also want to make the rind mat well so it will do well in the cellar and have a nice smooth finish.
So that's that finish on the top there?
That's it.
Okay.
If this is the first flip, the second flip will be 15 minutes later. We do 5 flips altogether.
After the cheese has been flipped 5 times and left to drain, it's brought to this cold room and left overnight. The following day, it's put into a brine solution. The salt's important. It flavours the cheese, but it also creates just the right environment for the bee linens to grow. The young cheeses are regularly hand-brushed with a brine solution to control the growth of a sticky orange bacteria called bee linens, which naturally grows on the surface of the cheese. This bacteria is also responsible for ripening the centre over the next 60 days, and the distinctive yellow colour is typical of cheeses made from the milk of grass-fed cows. Now, do you recommend I try it with or without the rind? It's a very big question.
Especially with the cheese this young, I would try it without the rind first so you knew the taste of the body. And then I usually tell people to try it with the rind, and if they think that makes it taste better, they should eat it. And if they don't, they shouldn't.
Okay, right, here goes. That's really good as it looked in the vat.
Good.
Not disappointed at all.
Good.
I was really impressed by the soft, fudgy texture and deliciously complex flavours of Grayson. Demand for this exceptional cheese now far outstrips what the farm can supply. When it comes to American Farmstead goat's cheese, the name Judy Schad and Capriole are legendary. In search of a sustainable lifestyle, Judy and husband Larry moved to this beautiful 80-acre farm in southern Indiana in 1976. They transformed an old Pony Express property into one of the most respected goat cheese dairies in the United States. Using only the milk from the farm's herd of 450 goats, this Farmstead dairy produces an amazing variety of fresh, ripened and aged goat cheese.
They're primarily alpine. We have some Sonnens, and then we've crossed back and forth with Nubian for milk quality.
Yeah.
But they stay out here a lot in the summer. They have different paddocks of woodland that we can turn them into.
Yeah.
And they prefer that over pasture.
They prefer that over pasture?
Yeah. We've locked them in an alfalfa field for as much as 6 weeks and they won't eat it. But as soon as you open the gate to the woods, they're down there in a flash.
And what do they eat in the woods?
They eat sassafras, honeysuckle, poison ivy, anything that's up off the ground, because the instinct is not to eat off the ground. And I think that's why probably they don't pasture well. So this is the Geo room.
Lovely smell.
The Geo room. These are the Geo Trickum cheeses that are a little bit harder to handle. Right. These just came in today. These are brand new.
So is that the ash just mixed through?
The ash is mixed through in layers, and these are little boulets, little wabash cannonballs with ash, and then the Geo on the outside.
Is it just growing on the top
You
there?
can see the wonderful little French wrinkle. I love that.
Nice smell in there.
Crazy. Oh.
Of all the delicious cheeses made here, the one I'm really hoping to try is wrapped in chestnut leaves that have first been soaked in local bourbon whiskey. And now this is one of your signature ones as well, isn't this one?
That's an O'Bannon, which is very different from the French Bannon. More a marinated cheese. You can actually taste the bourbon overtones, I think, in that cheese.
So just tell me how you make that one.
These are pasteurized cheeses, of course, because they're under 60 days old. Now, perhaps I could do that out of raw milk, but why?
You can taste the bourbon in there.
Mm-hmm. You can.
So you just marinate
Marinate the leaves in bourbon and then wrap them wet around the cheese.
Okay.
And seal it.
Judy kindly offered to organise a tasting of cheese and bourbon at a bar called Proof in the nearby city of Dodgeville.
2.5 miles. Take exit 5 on right.
It's not every day you get the chance to try bourbon and cheese together, and it seemed a bit rude to say no.
Okay, first of all, can you tell me something about these bourbons here?
Well, what we have here today is we have 3 small batch bourbons. Starting off on the left here, we have our Eagle Rare Single Barrel, and this is aged 10 years. It is a 90 proof bourbon. In the center there, we have our Woodford Reserve, and it's a nice blend of both wheat and rye, kind of a happy medium. And then our last but not least, we have our Booker's, and this bourbon is barrel strength. It hasn't been cut with water one bit, and it is 125 proof.
Right, now your job is to find some cheese to go with that lot.
I think they're all going to go with this cheese. This is the Mount St. Francis.
The Mount St.
Francis. It's a raw milk, aged about, this one's about 6 months.
6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So kind of young.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to cut this too while we're about it.
And you push it back with this, you reckon?
Mm-hmm. I think it's the only cheese, to tell you the truth, that's going to really stand up and bark at this bourbon.
Oh, that stands up and barks, all right. Can you say that again? Oh,
Don't you think?
that's really interesting.
I know, it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's surprising, actually.
Yeah.
I would never have thought of putting those
It kind of
together.
brings out the best in the bourbon as well. The bourbon recipe calls for 51% corn, with the other 49% being any combination of barley, wheat, or rye. You know, here in Kentucky, we enjoy bourbon with almost all foods, and bourbon is a very popular after-dinner drink, and I think that it certainly has a place with cheese as well.
Well, thank you very much. For my money, I'll take the 125% proof.
Cheers.
You like that,
Cheers.
right? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Here's the bourbon and cheese. One of the best-known delis in America is called Zingerman's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. This vibrant business started trading in 1982 with a small selection of great-tasting specialty foods and a relatively short sandwich menu. These days, all that's changed. The business includes a bakery, a coffee roasting company, a roadhouse, a catering company, mail order, and of course, a creamery.
Good for Steven.
Wow, this place is amazing. I've heard about Zingerman's for the past 20 years, and now I've finally got here. They've got an amazing range of foods and some great cheeses, and the staff are so into what they're doing. It's wonderful to see. Founders Paul and Ari share a passion for interesting quality produce, and the deli stocks an exceptional array of Artisan and Farmstead cheeses from all over the world.
Obviously, it's changed and grown a lot over 26 years, but it's really a lot the same as when we started. It's very important to us that this be a really great place for people to work and that they, are learning and growing and changing in positive ways for themselves while they're here. And, that our job really, honestly, is to give them service so that they're able to give you, when you come in as a customer, give you service.
Ari is a mine of information on the many foods sold by the various companies in Zingerman's and has written several highly recommended books.
In the modern era, you sort of have people in this country becoming ever more interested in learning about traditional cheese making and how to make great cheese. And obviously, there were some people here who knew, but most of the learning was going to Europe and learning from people there. And, and then I think over time it's really important is that the cheeses evolve. And so Pleasant Ridge Reserve, which is, certainly one of the, I think, best cheeses in the world. And, Mike Gingrich will talk about, it's a Beaufort recipe. Well, I mean, he might have learned some things from the Beaufort recipe, but it's a fantastic cheese that you would never in a million years think was a Beaufort. It doesn't look like a Beaufort, it doesn't taste like a Beaufort, and it's a delicious cheese in its own right. So it's really learning from others and then adapting to the environment and the milk and the terroir here.
Lunch order for John C.
Zingerman's Deli is packed with all sorts of wonderful, tempting foods, and the cheese counter even has a regular cheese-making demonstration.
Now, do you do this every couple of times a week?
We do this fresh every morning and during fresh tomato season, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day.
But just here in the shop like this?
Oh yeah, just here in the shop. Yeah, we buy in a prepared curd and we melt it, stretch it out so all the proteins are nice and lined up, so it's a nice tender chew. That's very hot. Stick your finger in if you like. That's boiling water practically.
That's really hot.
Yeah.
Really hot. Yeah. So you don't wear gloves?
I don't wear gloves because gloves actually make the product kind of slide off of your hand. The grip of your fingerprints is actually kind of essential to do this properly. So yeah, I don't use gloves.
Zingerman's Creamery also run a stand at the nearby market and regular tours of their dairy. This is clearly a very special community-based organisation, and I asked Ari to sum up the company's philosophy.
Our vision was to, and still is, to create this community of businesses, all located here in the area, each with its own specialty, each with a managing partner or partners in it. So these are people like John at the Creamery who have a passion for that work. I think the market will continue to grow because people are interested in more and more flavorful food. And even as much as it's grown, it's still a tiny percentage of what's sold out there. And we don't need to take over the whole food chain just a little bit more, you know, creates a lot of opportunity for a lot of people.
With so many amazing cheeses now being made all around the United States, I thought it'd be interesting to see where some of them end up. I've come to Lower East Side, New York to see a friend of mine, and she runs one of the best cheese shops in this city.
This tiny specialist cheese shop is located inside the bustling Essex Street markets and is named after its owner, Ann Saxelby. What makes this place quite unique is Ann's passion for stocking artisan and farmstead cheeses made only in the United States.
So, and just tell me how you got into this in the first place.
Just by eating a lot of cheese. I had always loved it, and I think the tipping point was probably when I went to visit a friend of mine who was studying in Italy, and I had never been to Europe before and knew not too much about cheese other than, you know, craft American and craft cheddar. And after one little visit to the Central Market in Florence, I was completely floored and won over by all the variety of great cheeses you can find there. In New York City, we've got great farmers markets, but not all these cheesemakers are close enough to come into the market. For example, this Grayson from Virginia that we're going to try, they are in Galax, which is about, you know, 7 hours drive from the city. So they're doing great work, and I want to be the one to try to, you know, sort of communicate that to people. And so it was just as much the stories of the people as it was the delicious product that made me want to get into it.
In the 1950s, a very successful Californian cheesemaker by the name of Tom Vella decided to develop a new American blue cheese after visiting the caves of Roquefort in France.
The Rogue River Valley is famous for its pears, its cheese, and more recently, its wines. I've come here to visit a dairy that's been going since 1928 and produces more varieties of blue cheese from raw milk than any in the whole of the United States.
The Vella family had made its name with Monterey Jack, but over the next half-century, Rogue Creamery became well known for producing some of the best artisan blue cheese in America.
My partner, Carrie Bryant, and I were looking to open a wine bar in Ashland, Oregon, and we needed cheese for that wine bar, and we learned about a small artisan creamery in our own backyard. So we went to that creamery and we introduced ourselves to the famous Ig Vella, the godfather of American artisan cheese. And we said, Mr. Vella, we'd like your cheese for our wine bar. And he looked at us and he said, fellas, if you want my cheese, you're gonna have to make it yourself because I'm gonna close her down. Our jaws just hit the table. We were so surprised.
That surprise soon led to a determined effort to try and save the famous name. And the success of the dairy today is an encouraging sign of the growing cheese renaissance in this country.
The cheese is great. I mean, finally being recognized around the world as producing a world-class cheese is pretty nice. And for people, when you're traveling, if you have a Rogue Valley paraphernalia on in any way, you know, people will often say, oh, I love that cheese.
Oh, this is an old historic bridge. It's the original Highway 99. 99 goes from San Diego to British Columbia, and then it crosses over the Rogue River, which headwaters are the national park, Crater Lake. Look at this, isn't it beautiful? Yeah. So this river is the inspiration of our famous cheese, the Rogue River Blue.
One of the secrets of David and Carrie's success is the commitment and passion of their staff.
You know, it's kind of funny because when a lot of people come here, they're expecting an average cheese, I guess. They're just expecting cheese. Then they get in here and they get the the wow, this is wow, and they don't know what to say about it, and then they hear the story behind it, and they may see the cheesemakers working, or they see the little flashcards of pictures, and they really truly understand, how detailed the operation is, and how artisan it is, and how we truly care about what we're making.
So this has just been salted?
Yeah, we salt it a little bit right now. So we just stopped it a little bit,
right.
And after draining a little bit of the whey. We're standing on the shoulders of giants. We've been making blue cheese for 51 years as a group. Yeah. We've been making cheese in general for over 70.
The crown jewel of the dairy's range is Rogue River Blue.
We originally started making it in 1957 after Tom Vella, our founder, went on a trip to Roquefort, and he got the original recipes to how to do it there. He trained there for a few months, and so that's the basic foundation of where our cheese making comes from. Is from that, and then we do variations on that to get us where we are.
One reason why this American benchmark has a strong salty blue flavour is 8 months maturation in humid aging rooms. This rare seasonal cheese is handmade during autumn and midwinter from the milk of cows grazing the green pastures of a certified sustainable farm near the river.
We wrap that cheese after it's fully rinded in grape leaves. They're Syrah grape leaves that we hand pick. So we macerate the leaves in this eau de vie made from pears in our valley. Our valley is famous for the Camise pears. And so it's about an 81 proof pear brandy, and we soak the leaves about 8 months in that eau de vie before we wrap the wheels. We only make the Rogue River Blue with our autumnal milk. We have found that that's the milk that really represents the terroir, the flavor of what you see here with the Rogue River in the background, and certainly with this lush grass and this lush valley floor. It really has some sweet berry flavors and certainly some pear notes, some fruit notes from the grape leaves and the eau de vie, and some say even a hint of bacon at the rind. Yeah. So it's a very complex blue, of course, and it has the spicy character of a blue cheese.
I'm always impressed by the exceptional produce found in farmers' markets in America, and Rogue Valley Growers Market was no exception. It has provided a great opportunity to establish direct links to their customers and also encouraged a strong sense of community with other stallholders.
I've got our world famous raw milk blues. Thank you very much, dear. Enjoy your cheese.
In 2008, David and Carrie managed to convince the FDA to approve the export of their raw milk blue cheese to Europe. This was an American first, and something that would have made Tom Vella very proud.
Well, this trip has been a real eye-opener. I've travelled thousands of miles and seen some beautiful countryside. I've met with some really passionate cheesemakers who know what they're doing, and I've tasted some great cheese. I've learnt that America produces more varieties of blue cheese from raw milk than even France. And even more importantly, I've seen that when they put their mind to it, they can make some really great cheeses. So the future for specialist and farmhouse cheeses in this country is looking really good.
Cheese slices. Has anyone got a match?
I think we go up on this one, don't you?
Serious? What are you doing?
Don't you get rough.